I have a Christian friend who shared this image on Facebook. It's a scanned newspaper article with no citation of author or publication, so I'm just showing you the raw image that she chose to share. Take note of its high number of likes and shares at the time of the screenshot. Let's analyze this brief clipping and see what all the Christian euphoria is about. Be warned that if, like me, you are not a fan of slant rhymes used to make something stupid sound profound and poetic, brace yourself. When I say I'm a Christian, I'm not shouting that I am clean living. I'm whispering I was lost, but now I'm found and forgiven. I will give this writer credit for phrasing this piece from the first-person perspective, meaning the author isn't claiming to speak for all other Christians. Of course, that's strictly based on what the writer claims to intend to communicate, and we don't really see how this person communicates it. See, there are tons of Christians I notice on a daily basis who aren't whispering humbly about their faith, even if they'd say they are. What they're actually doing is running megachurches and shouting their religion to the masses, desperate to fill their pews with collection plate stuffers. They're hosting broadcasts like the 700 Club, where they profess to know exactly what God wants people to do and dispensing personal advice accordingly. They're standing in the streets and on college campuses shaking Bibles from their soapboxes, condemning people to places of eternal burning torture for not sharing the same brand of the same religion they choose to follow. But as for you, author, if what you're really intending to do here is whisper that you were lost and now found and forgiven, then you may want to consider just whispering that, and only if asked. Professing these things to people who have no interest in hearing it isn't as humble as you seem to think you are. I'm also curious how simply being Christian makes one found and forgiven. Doesn't that feel a bit too convenient to you, that simply being a Christian automatically grants you forgiveness instead of having to really earn it from the real people you've wronged? It seems like a cop-out to me. When I say I'm a Christian, I don't speak of this with pride. I'm confessing that I stumble and need Christ to be my guide. So you're not declaring your Christianity with pride. In Revelations 3:16, God says, "So because you are lukewarm, neither hot nor cold, I am about to spit you out of my mouth." Some translations say he'll spew or vomit you out of his mouth, but apparently if you want to remain in the mouth of God, unexpectorated, you may want to be less lukewarm about your Christianity. Also, just because you stumble sometimes doesn't mean you need an imaginary friend. Chances are you're stronger than you think, and your actual friends, the people you know and who care about you, they'll be there to help you out when you're stumbling much more reliably than Christ. That guy's schedule must be packed, because when I was a Christian and praying for help, it was always my friends who were there for me, not Christ. And before you insist that Christ sent those friends to me on his behalf, my friends still are there for me when I need them, when I'm stumbling, even as an atheist activist who's committed the blasphemous, unforgivable sin of not believing your God exists. When I say I am Christian, I'm not trying to be strong. I'm professing that I'm weak and need his strength to carry on. You don't see a problem with that? You sound like the drug addicts who desperately insist they can't get through their day without their fix. As I just mentioned, you're probably strong enough to get through life's trials without the almighty placebo to help you out. Try it next time things are tough. Don't pray for help or forgiveness. Don't put extra money in the church coffers. Just go to work at fixing what's wrong. Lean on a friend for whom you'd offer the same support. See if you can still get through it without religion. I bet you do, and I bet you'll feel less weak and guilty about it too. When I say I am Christian, I'm not bragging of success. I'm admitting that I've failed and need God to clean up my mess. I would hope that just telling people the religion you belong to isn't bragging of success, though depending on how it's said, that's often exactly what Christians are doing when talking down to minority religions or non-believers, at least in the United States. For the third time in a row, though, you've claimed you need God to clean up your mess. No, you don't. Clean up your own mess. You're an adult. Take responsibility for your actions, and you'll likely feel much better about it. When I say I am Christian, I'm not claiming to be perfect. My flaws are far too visible, but God believes I'm worth it. Well, by the logic of your own religion, God's the one who created you with all of those far too visible flaws. His alleged omnipotence renders him utterly and unapologetically culpable for everything that's wrong with his creation. Every ounce of guilt a Christian feels should belong to God for creating you the way you are. Of course, back here in reality where I live, I hardly ever feel guilt because I don't hold myself to a standard of perfection. I hold myself to my own standards, and when I do feel guilt, it's not for being imperfect. It's for underperforming in my life when I know I could have done better. I don't remedy that by claiming Christianity and assuming forgiveness. I fix it by working toward improving myself moving forward. When I say I am Christian, I still feel the sting of pain. I have my share of heartaches, so I call upon his name. Damn, you make being a Christian sound like nothing but guilt and pain. Is the ploy here not yet evident that your religion is designed to make you feel sick and sell you the cure? It sounds like the kind of thing I'd rather avoid entirely. When I say I am Christian, I'm not holier than thou. I'm just a simple sinner who received God's good grace somehow. If you really are the kind of Christian who does not declare your Christianity as some form of superiority over the non-Christians in your presence, then good for you. It would be pleasant if more Christians followed suit. You're not a sinner, though. You see, sin's not a thing. It doesn't exist. It's just a fictional concept used to make you feel all that toxic guilt that you spent the majority of this article explaining that you have. This article employs the classic pretentious Christian technique for describing personal Christian philosophy. Look back at what you've said in this article and consider that you're bragging about how guilty, needy, and humble you are. Think about that.